You really have no idea how much can change in just 1 year. If you put your full focus on where you want to go, prioritize your goals over anything else, and most importantly, stay consistent. In a year from now, you can be in a place that's better than you could have ever imagined. I have to say that was really one of the biggest realizations I had over the last years of how much is actually in my power, that I'm not stuck, that I'm not fixed the way I am, but that I have so much more control over my life and who I'm becoming than I thought. And it's super interesting because research actually shows that we dramatically underestimate how much we're able to change and just how different our future can look like. Especially if you've listened to my first podcast episode where I talk about my whole story and how I got started with yoga and my whole health background, then you already know just how crazy it is for me to see where I am today, keeping in mind where I was just a few years ago and just how insanely much really everything changed, not just my body, but my whole mindset, my whole life. And it just really proved to me how dedication, discipline, consistency, how they are able to transform our lives completely and help us become the version we really want to be. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in today's episode. So welcome. I want to dive into the most powerful ways on how we can find that discipline and how we can make 2026 the best possible year yet and really work towards the highest future potential version of ourselves. Because of course, especially the topic of discipline and consistency is so tricky because it's just hard, right? It is just hard to stay disciplined and to work on all the things that we know we have to do and that are good for us and so on. But yeah, I want to share with you the things that helped me by far the most and made the biggest difference. And especially with New Year's Eve, it's such a powerful time because it's super interesting. But for our brain, occasions like a new year are amazing in terms of discipline and achieving our goals because our brain loves a fresh start. It loves this clear-cut moment of like old me and new me. And there is, again, so many studies also that show just how much more likely we stick to our goals if they are connected to a moment in time like New Year's Eve or also a birthday or also the start of a new month, or also moving to a new city is extremely powerful, but in additional ways because it also changes your whole environment and you are able to really completely create a new version of yourself. So if by chance you're about to move, definitely keep that in mind. That's the perfect time to kind of start fresh, but also New Year's Eve. So let's definitely take advantage of this point of time. And the first thing we want to do is to be as connected as we possibly can to our future version, and especially thinking about the person that we want to be in a year from now. So on the 31st of December 2026, exactly a year from now, because again, so crazy much can change in just 1 year. The more we're able to connect with that and to have that vision in our mind, the better we're going to live in the present moment, the better decisions we're going to take, the more disciplined and consistent we're going to be, and just really kind of live the best we can because we have that bigger vision and that bigger purpose and we know why we're doing things. And really, the less connected we are to that version, the more decisions we make that our future self will regret because we just don't have that long-term thinking, right? And we're just going to be like, oh, it doesn't matter if I eat like shit or if I don't work out or something like that. It's really the opposite that's going to happen because we know exactly who we're doing it for. And I think one of the craziest examples is women who are getting married, because you see transformations that are just absolutely insane sometimes, right? Of women getting in crazy good shape or having their total glow up before a wedding because they have exactly that. They have that future version of themselves, themselves at their wedding day. They know exactly what they're doing it for. And all of a sudden they have the craziest discipline. And that's exactly what we want to do, right? That's exactly what you get by having that future version of yourself. And you could also, of course, tie it to a specific occasion where you really visualize yourself there. And maybe it is a moment in time where you achieve something that you've always been dreaming about, or some kind of occasion, and becoming so connected to that. And it is insane what a difference it makes to our living in the present moment and to our decision making and just how crazy powerful it is. And something I read in a book once, I need to link it for you down below because I can't remember right now what it's called, but it really stuck with me, is that we want to think of that future version as a separate person that we are fully responsible for. So that it's someone completely separate from us and we have all the responsibility of what their life is going to look like. And that thought process also, I think, is so powerful to remember always, or to realize how every single thing we do, every decision we take, every habit, every daily little thing is going to have an impact on that future version, and it's going to determine their life. And the life we're living right now is based on all the decisions we did in the past. And that's, again, just such a huge reminder of how much power we have and how much we're able to really decide our future and influence our future. And we want to take full responsibility for that, and keeping that in mind that we are responsible for what our life is going to look like. And again, detaching from it, seeing it as this separate person, which sometimes also really helps to have more empathy towards them, because sometimes it's so much easier to, for example, care for someone else or do something for someone else than it is for ourselves. And finding that empathy and especially responsibility can be such a huge game changer. Then the next thing is probably the most powerful thing we're going to talk about today. So if you do just one thing from this video, then I want you to do this. It also really helps to get even more clear about that future version, and it is to write a letter from the perspective of the future self. So imagining you are 1 year from now on the 31st of December 2026, and then writing a letter to yourself now about what your life looks like, what you have achieved, what you're feeling, what you look like, just anything that comes into your mind, really just not overthinking it, not overcomplicating it, just writing for a few minutes everything down of what is your life going to be like in a year from now, and trying as best as we can to really think big and thinking beyond our current context, which can definitely be super difficult because I think especially for the brain, it's quite hard to see a future that is not limited by our current circumstances, right? But I think what's really powerful in that regard is to definitely, as much as possible, surround yourself with people who are living the life you want to live, or who are doing things you want to do, or have qualities in themselves that you admire. And that is actually really such an important point in terms of who do you surround yourself with? What are you exposing yourself to every single day? Reminds me of the exposure effect, which is something I think, especially in terms of discipline, is so incredibly important, is to keep in mind how much every single thing that we expose ourselves to influences our lives. It influences the way we think, the way we behave, literally everything. And that's, of course, why we want to be so specific and so aware of our surrounding, of our environment, and just every aspect of it. So not just what our home looks like, but also, of course, especially the people we surround ourselves with. And then I would say almost sometimes even more important, because we are just in a consumption era and we are just consuming so much every day. What are we consuming on social media, on our phones? What are we watching? What are we listening to? What are we reading? And consciously choosing all the things, all the content that we know will help us to become our best future version, and really putting so much thought into that and so much awareness and mindfulness about what we are exposing our brain to, because it just really, it's a sponge, right? And just soaks everything in that it sees and that it hears. And I'm so convinced that what I consumed over the last years had the most insane effect on my life and my brain, and also what I think is possible for myself. And because again, I swear to you, I would have never thought, with especially the mindset I had a few years ago, that I could create a better life for myself and that I can change and really transform, and especially in such a short amount of time, because a few years is nothing, right? And I think I also definitely made the biggest transformation, I would say probably in the first 1 or 2 years, from the moment I started to really dedicate myself to my growth and my development. And when I started to consume books and podcasts that help you grow, and also meet people that had a huge influence on me. And so whatever we can do to expose ourselves to the right things, we should definitely do. Finding, for example, also circles where the behaviors you aspire are normal. For example, if you want to live healthier, finding a surrounding and finding also new people and friends that are living a healthy lifestyle. And for them, it's, for example, normal to work out all the time or eat healthy. And the effect that has on us is just crazy. If certain behaviors are just completely normalized and automatic, it is gonna transfer onto us. It's also the same the other way around, right? If we surround ourselves with people who maybe have lower standards than we have, that is also going to impact us, right? So just being really, really aware of that. But let's actually quickly come back to our future self letter, because something really powerful about it also is that it allows us to reverse engineer. Because if we know what our ideal future looks like and what that version of ourselves look like, we can figure out what the most important things are that we have to focus on right now to get there. So reverse engineering all the habits, behaviors that we have to implement in our life to get to where we want to go. And there, it's just super crucial in order also not to overwhelm ourselves, to try to focus on 3 main areas or 3 main goals that we want to put all our energy and all our attention towards. Because if we have more than 3 goals, we might as well have none, because it's just too much for our brain, and especially for our attention and our focus. We want to narrow it as much as we possibly can to the things that really matter. So we want to really think about what are the specific habits that are going to make the biggest difference, and then saying no to everything else. So being super, super focused on the few things that we know are going to have such a crazy compounding effect and are going to get us exactly where we want to go. And something I want to start actually also doing next year, because I haven't really done that so far, is to do habit tracking. Because I just recently saw this YouTube video. I'm going to link it for you down below, because I thought it was super inspiring, of this guy who started this journal. He created it himself, kind of like a system where every day he tracks all his habits. He also writes down different things. I link it for you so you can see exactly how he does it. And I think it's probably really one of the best ways to stay consistent is to track it and to really see kind of written down what did you actually do. Because I think in our mind, it can be so easy to just neglect stuff and to kind of lie to ourselves and not be honest. And I think when you write it down and when you really visualize it to yourself, you cannot lie to yourself, because you're just going to see on black and white, what did I do? What did I not do? And in turn, that's then going to help so much with discipline and consistency. So I'm excited to try it out from the 1st of January. I'm going to try to also document it and share with you maybe my experience with it or how it's going. Also, in terms of journaling, what is really powerful is to write down our goals, especially if you figured out your 3 main goals from your future self letter. Trying to write them down as often as possible. There's again super interesting science about how much more likely you are to stick to your goals if you write them down, ideally every day. And I think just in general also, writing down your goals and your vision is another way of connecting with that future and with your highest potential future self. And as we talked about in the beginning, this connection is everything. So as often as we can in our daily life, we want to connect with that. We want to envision that person. Also, something I really love is to find a bit of a playful approach to it, and kind of this approach of life is a game, and thinking about how exciting is it to explore what you're capable of, and what a shame it would be not to experience that and just see what happens. What's going to happen if you stay consistent, if you stay disciplined? So our mood for 2026 is to become fully obsessed with our own potential and finding out what we're capable of and just seeing what happens. Wait, there was one more thing I really wanted to share in this video that I also find just so powerful, is to, of course, think about the ideal, highest potential version of ourselves, but then also thinking about where will I be in a year from now if I don't do any of the things that I want to do, if I don't pursue my goals, if I don't stick to the good habits and show up for myself, and if I keep going, where will I be in a year from now? I actually think that can sometimes be even more powerful, because it just really creates this feeling of, oh my God, I don't want that, right? And that would be horrible if that happens, and just can really also be this motivator and driver to stick to our goals and just to keep going, especially when we don't feel like going. Especially in those moments, I really try to remind myself of that, and can just be kind of this extra intrinsic motivation to keep going and to stay disciplined. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I cannot wait for 2026 with you. I'm so grateful you're here. So I quickly also want to take a moment to just say how insanely thankful I am for your continuous support, for all the just incredibly kind comments I keep getting and messages, and it means so much more to me than you can even imagine. And I'm so committed to keep sharing the best possible content I can with you and everything that I'm learning. I wish you the most amazing start into the new year, and I'll see you soon. Bye.